The stars outside the glass were quiet, but inside the ship, alarms screamed. Private Rylan was thrown to the metal floor as the ship shook violently. He groaned, tasting blood in his mouth, then pushed himself up, gripping his rifle with shaking. Hands dot, it was supposed to be a simple patrol on the outer rim, an old transport ship with barely any weapons, no valuable cargo, and only a handful of soldiers. But then something tore through the side of the ship, something fast, angry, and alien. Rylan never saw the attacker. Just red flashing lights, screaming voices, and then silence. He had no memory of what happened after that. Now, he woke up. Not to the sound of alarms, not to pain, but to a strange, heavy silence. He opened his eyes slowly. The room was not the ship's cold infirmary. It was warm, dimly lit, with smooth white walls and strange symbols glowing along the edges. The air smelled faintly of flowers. He blinked in confusion and tried to sit up. His muscles ached. His uniform was gone, replaced with soft bandages and a plain gray shirt. His mind raced. Was he captured? A prisoner? Why was it so peaceful? Then he heard a soft sound. He turned his head and froze. A figure stepped into the room. She wasn't human. She was tall, elegant, and unlike anything he had seen. Her body was covered in soft orange-red fur, her ears sharp like a fox, and her tail flowed behind her like a flame. Her face held the shape of a feline queen, majestic and graceful, with silver-white hair falling down her back, and her eyes. They glowed with gold, and something more. Curiosity, power, kindness. Rylan didn't know whether to speak or reach for a weapon, but then she bowed. "Human soldier," she said softly, her voice like music. "You are awake." He stared at her. "Where am I?" She walked slowly toward him, each movement careful, almost respectful. "You are safe. This is the moon of Sihari. My people found your wreckage. You were near death." He struggled to sit up. "What happened to my team, the others?" Her ears lowered slightly. "Only you survived. We tried, but your ship was lost in the storm." Rylan's chest tightened. He felt the sting of loss again. But before he could speak, she stepped closer and did something unexpected. She knelt beside his bed. "My name is Leary," she said. "I am of the Firetail clan. We are warriors and debt keepers." He frowned. "Debt keepers?" She looked at him seriously. "Your actions in saving our scout ship before your crash were brave. You didn't know it was one of ours, yet you diverted fire from the enemy. For that, we owe you." Rylan tried to remember. He did fire at the strange black ship. He thought it was attacking civilians. He had no idea they were aliens. "You don't owe me anything," he said, but she shook her head. "You saved one of our royal sisters. That is sacred. You were chosen to be healed, and to be rewarded." "Rewarded?" he asked, confused. Leary stood again. Her voice grew formal. "By ancient law, a warrior who saves royalty must be served. Until your debt is fulfilled, I belong to you." Rylan's mouth opened slightly. "Wait, what?" "I will care for you. Fight beside you, serve your will, until you ask me to go." She wasn't just saying it. Her tone was serious. There was no joke in her golden eyes. Rylan sat back slowly, overwhelmed. He didn't ask for this. Didn't want a servant. He just did what any soldier would do, but this was not Earth. And Leary was not someone he could ignore. As she turned to pour him a drink with her long tail swaying behind her, Rylan realized something else. He was deep in alien territory. He had no ship, no way back, and the only ally he had was a stunning feline warrior who now considered herself his dot, and outside this peaceful room, something darker was moving, something that would soon test just how deep Leary's loyalty really went. Rylan spent the next day trying to understand where he truly was. The moon of Sisuri was quiet, peaceful even, but behind its beauty, something felt strange. The halls were round and smooth, almost alive with walls that glowed softly like breathing skin. Every time he passed a corner, small alien creatures bowed their heads and whispered, "Not to him." To Leary, Rylan noticed it quickly. She wasn't just any servant. The way the guards stepped aside for her, how the healers lowered their eyes. Leary held power here. Maybe not royalty herself, but close. Yet she walked beside him with calm respect. Dressed now in a more modest armor robe, her tail swaying gently behind her. Her voice was always soft, but her eyes watched everything. She was a fighter, that much he could tell. "You don't act like a servant," he said as they walked through a garden with glowing red trees. She paused. "Because I am not won by choice. I serve because I choose to. Our law says I must repay a life debt, but I'm not weak, human." "I never said you were," he replied, looking at her face. "And stop calling me human. I have a name." She tilted her head. "Then give it." "Rylan," she nodded. "Then Rylan. You should know this moon is not safe. The reason your ship was attacked, it wasn't random." That stopped him in his tracks. "What do you mean?" She lowered her voice and looked around. "There are factions within the galaxy who want war with humans. Your ship crossed into a territory controlled by the Jinkar warlords. They hate your kind, but your presence here changes the game." He frowned. "I'm just one soldier. What can I change?" "You're not just a soldier now. You're the life debtor of a firetail," she said. "That gives you protection. It also makes you a target." Before he could ask more, a deep rumble shook the ground. A strange vibration came through the floor. Leary's ears snapped up. "Stay close." She rushed ahead. Rylan followed. They turned into a hallway where guards in black and red armor were already running. Leary barked orders in her language, and they instantly obeyed. Raylan felt his chest tighten. Then they reached a large circular room. A hologram in the center displayed the moon's orbit, and a ship was approaching. A ship he recognized. "That's Earth design," Rylan said. "A human ship." Leary narrowed her eyes. "It's not broadcasting any signal. Could be mercs, pirates using stolen tech." She nodded grimly. "Or worse bait, a way to draw you out." Raylan didn't hesitate. "I want a weapon. If they're coming for me, I'll stand and fight." Leary turned, locking eyes with him. "You'll get one. But if you die before I repay my debt, my honor ends with you." There was silence between them for a moment. Then she reached down and pulled 2 energy blades from her waist. One she handed to him. He took it. It was warm in his hand, lighter than expected, humming with strange energy. "I don't like being protected," he said. Leary smiled faintly, her fangs just barely showing. "Good, then stay alive so I don't have to protect you too much." Behind them, alarms started again. The sky outside turned red dot, and far above, the ship drew closer, its guns armed, its hull marked not with human flags, but something darker. Symbols etched in red flame. The Jinkar were not finished. They had followed him here, but this time, Raylan wouldn't be running, not alone, and certainly not without the mysterious feline warrior who now stood by his side, blades in hand and fire in her eyes. Asterisk, the sky above the moon of Sahari turned blood red as the enemy ship entered the atmosphere. Sirens wailed in deep tones, echoing through the moon's towers. Warriors rushed through the halls, armor clinking, weapons glowing. Rylan stood on the observation deck, gripping the alien energy. Blade tighter, it pulsed like it had a heartbeat of its own. He could feel it respond to his grip, humming with heat. His breathing was slow, but his heart pounded like a war drum. Beside him, Leary stood calm, her long tail curled slightly, her golden eyes watching the dark cloud in the sky. She had changed back into her battlesuit, white, sleek, and elegant. Built for movement, not just beauty. "You've seen battle before," she said, not looking at him. Too many times, he replied. But never with a partner like you. She flicked her ears. Careful, we're not bonded. He raised a brow. Bonded? She finally turned to him. Among my kind, true bonds are sacred. They're not given lightly. Service doesn't. Equal devotion. Rylan nodded slowly. Understood. But I trust you already. That caught her off guard, just slightly. She didn't answer right away. Before she could respond, a message crackled over the intercom, first in her native tongue, then translated into rough English. Unmarked ship landing in Sector 12. No reply to hails. Defensive positions confirmed. Leary's expression hardened. They're going to land near the old training field. Too open. It's a trap. Rylan didn't wait. Then we don't give them time to set it. Minutes later, both were in a skimmer hovering low over the ground, moving fast. Raylan sat beside Leary, surprised how natural it felt. Her driving was wild but skilled, tail flicking as she controlled the wheel with one hand and scanned readouts with the other. Who are they really? Rylan asked. Leary didn't blink. Jinkar bounty assassins. My people have records of them. They kill without warning. They hate humans. And they rarely miss. Why me? I'm not special. You saved the wrong princess at the wrong time, she said simply. And now you matter more than you realize. The skimmer stopped at the ridge overlooking Sector 12. The sky boiled overhead as the enemy ship lowered into the field. Long, spider-like landing arms spread across the cracked soil. No insignia. No words. Just glowing red lines etched deep into its black hull. They're coming, Leary said. Figures emerged from the ship. Tall, wrapped in cloaks of shifting metal. Red glowing masks covered their faces. And each of them carried weapons that looked too advanced for a simple ambush. Rylan stepped out of the skimmer, gripping his blade. Leary joined him. No talking? He asked. They don't talk, she replied. They destroy. And they'll try to take you alive. Rylan gave a dry laugh. Lucky me. Then it began. The first shot came silently, blue fire streaking past them. Leary moved faster than Rylan thought possible, flipping forward, slicing through the air with her twin blades. The fire missed. She didn't. Rylan ducked and rolled behind a broken piece of wall, then rose and charged. His training kicked in. The energy blade felt like an extension of his own arm. One assassin lunged toward him. Rylan blocked the strike, twisted, and drove the blade through its chest. No scream. Just silence. Then collapse. He turned. Leary was already fighting three at once, dancing between them, her white hair flashing like lightning. Her body moved with savage grace, and every strike ended with another enemy hitting the ground. But there were more coming. Too many. Raylan felt a burn in his arm, grazed by a shot. He dropped to one knee. Another attacker aimed at him. And then Leary was there. She jumped between them, blade raised, tail wrapping around Rylan to pull him behind her. She roared loud and deep, shaking the air. It wasn't a scream. It was a warning. The Jinkar hesitated just for a second, and in that second, Leary moved. She cut through them like wind and fire, then turned, breathing heavily, blood dripping from one wrist. Are you hurt? She asked, still blocking his body with hers. Just a scratch, he replied. But in her eyes, something had changed. She had risked herself without thought, not because of honor, not because of a debt. Because of him. And neither of them said it. But the bond had already begun. The battlefield was quiet now. Smoke rose in soft curls. The enemy ship had been destroyed from within its power core, sabotaged by Leary during the final charge. The burning remains still glowed in the distance, lighting the cracked ground like a distant fire. Raylan sat beside her under the silver-blue night sky, holding a cloth to her arm. Blood had stopped, but the cut was deep. You shouldn't have done that, he muttered. Leary looked at him, calm. You were exposed. I acted. You almost died. She tilted her head. So did you. There was a silence between them. But it wasn't cold. It was full of words they hadn't said yet. They were no longer just soldier and protector. Something else was forming between them. Something alive. Why didn't they retreat? Rylan asked after a while. They had the numbers. They knew you were stronger. Leary's eyes narrowed. They weren't there to win. They were there. To test. Test what? She looked up at the sky. You. Us. They wanted to see if you would fight together. They were measuring how dangerous we are as a pair. That didn't comfort him. So next time, they'll send worse. She nodded. Slowly, yes, and soon. They returned to the tower that night. The people of her clan greeted them as heroes, but it wasn't celebration in their eyes. It was fear. Respect, but heavy with uncertainty. In her private chambers, Leary moved slower than before. The wound still ached. Raylan followed behind her. Not knowing what to say, she stopped near the center of the room and turned to him. You fought well. Not many humans could have done what you did. Raylan smiled tiredly. Not many humans have a fire-tailed guardian slicing through enemies. Like lightning. Her eyes glinted. It's not my tail that made them run. They both laughed softly. For the first time it felt normal, like peace. But that moment didn't last long. The door chimed. A messenger entered, young, shaking, eyes wide. My Lady Leary, he said in her tongue, then quickly translated. High Council has summoned you. And the human. Leary stood straighter. Why? They have learned of the fight. They say the human cannot stay. He draws war. Rylan stood. They want me gone? The messenger nodded and left. Leary turned to Rylan. Her face was unreadable. This will not go easily. I'm not your problem, he said. If I'm a danger to your people. She stepped forward suddenly, placing a hand on his chest. Her claws were retracted, her touch gentle. You are not a problem. You are mine to protect. The bond has begun. And I won't let them take that away. He looked into her golden eyes. Even if it costs your place here? She didn't blink. Yes. Later that night, she took him through the hidden tunnels beneath the tower. Strange glowing moss lit the path. Where are we going? He asked. To someone who owes me a favor. If the council tries to exile you, I'll invoke ancient law. You saved royalty. That gives you rights, even if the council hates it. And if they ignore that? She looked over her shoulder, smirking. Then I'll steal a ship and we vanish, he laughed. You'd throw away everything. For me? Leary stopped. I don't follow orders from fear. I follow my heart. And it tells me to stay with you. Raylan didn't answer. He didn't need to. He felt it too. But deep in the shadows, eyes watched them. Far away, a message was already being sent. The human has bonded. The Firetail is no longer neutral. Prepare the assassins. The war had not ended, that had only just begun. Asterisk. The chamber of the High Council was built from white stone and shaped like a circle. It was cold and silent, the kind of place where even strong warriors lowered their heads. Rylan stood at Leary's side, facing 7 elders of her kind. Each one had a long tail, gray or silver fur, and eyes that had seen too many wars. Leary stood tall, unshaken. One of the counselors, an old male with a golden robe, raised a hand. The human cannot remain. His presence brings danger. He saved one of our royal blood, Leary said, voice strong. He carries the right of protection under Firetail law. Another counselor hissed softly. Law binds us, yes. But that law was written for peace. Not this. Not war from another world. Raylan stepped forward. I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't come to start a war. But I won't run from one either. The room fell quiet. The elders stared at him. Not with hate. Not with fear. But with the kind of silence that weighed heavily like stone pressing on your chest. The oldest female counselor finally spoke. The bond is forming. Denying it now would break her spirit, but keeping you may break our world. Rylan turned to Leary, uncertain, but she didn't hesitate. Then I will leave, with or without your blessing. That shook them. Her words were sharp and final. The elders did not speak again. They simply stood and left, one by one. No exile. No welcome. Just silence. That night, as Rylan packed a few supplies, he found Leary sitting by the window, staring at the stars. You really meant it, didn't you? He asked. She didn't look away. Everything I had here, my rank, my home, my people, I would have given it all the day you opened. Your eyes. Rylan sat beside her. Why? Leary turned her head slowly. Because you didn't treat me like property. Not like something you earned. You looked at me and saw someone equal. He swallowed. I didn't save your scout ship because of who was in it. I just couldn't stand watching someone die. She smiled. And that's what makes you dangerous to them. They fear that kind of heart. Just then, a sharp knock echoed at the door. Rylan reached for his blade, but it wasn't an enemy. It was one of Leary's old training friends, a scarred female warrior with only one eye and a deep voice. They've sent assassins, she said quickly. Your names are marked, both of you. How many? Leary asked. Too many. You need to leave. Now Leary grabbed her armor. Rylan was already strapping on his own gear. The other warrior handed them a small card. This will open a gate. On the far edge of the moon, old tunnels barely used. Take it. Before they find you. Leary bowed deeply. Thank you. The warrior gave Rylan a long look. You better be worth it, human. I don't know if I am, Rylan said. But I'll fight like I am. They left under moonlight, moving through the hidden paths. They said nothing for hours. Only breathing. Only watching each other's back. But just before dawn, as the sky turned soft orange, they reached the old gate, and waiting for them were the assassins, 12 figures in dark armor. Red lights blinking, silent, deadly. Rylan raised his blade. Leary stepped in front of him, tail flicking. No holding back this time, she whispered. If we fall here, it's together. He nodded. Together. The assassins moved forward, but this time, Rylan wasn't the same soldier who crashed on this moon. He was bonded, chosen, and he was ready to show them what that meant. The gate behind them pulsed with blue light, just moments from opening. But Rylan and Leary stood frozen as 12 assassins surrounded them. Their red visors glowed like burning coals, weapons humming with dark energy. No words were spoken. These killers didn't speak. They executed. Rylan's grip tightened around his blade. How do you want to do this? Leary didn't answer with words. She moved, like fire unleashed. She dashed forward, tail whipping, blades flashing. She struck the first assassin with a spinning cut, her weapon slicing through its armored chest. Rylan followed, charging to her side. 2 assassins turned toward him. He ducked the first strike, countered with a wide swing, and drove his blade straight through the enemy's side. Sparks burst as the body fell. They fought like they were dancing too. Hearts moving as one. But the assassins were fast. Precise. Leary cried out as a blade cut across her side. Rylan saw her stumble. Rage filled him. He roared and charged through 3 of them, blade glowing brighter with every hit. One assassin raised a weapon toward Leary. Rylan hurled his blade into its chest before it could strike. Breathing heavy, he ran to her. She was bleeding but still on her feet. I'm not done, she growled. Neither am I, he said. The remaining 5 assassins closed in. Leary pressed her back to his. Last stand? Not yet. Just then, the old gate behind them lit up fully. A hum filled the air. A glowing wall of energy split open the darkness. And from the light figures stepped out. Not enemies. Allies. A group of firetail warriors. Leary's kin, led by the scarred female from before. You thought we'd let you face this alone? The warrior shouted, drawing her twin spears. Not today. Leary's eyes widened. But, you said the council. They're divided, the warrior said. But not all of us follow fear. The Firetail warriors joined the fight, slamming into the assassins with fury. The battle turned. Within minutes, the last of the masked enemies fell. The field went quiet. Rylan dropped to one knee, blood on his arm, dirt on his face. Leary knelt beside him, breathing hard, her fur matted with sweat and blood. You okay? He asked. She smiled weakly. Still alive, thanks to you. The scarred warrior approached, nodding with respect. You've proven something today, not just your strength, but your bond. Rylan looked at Leary. Does this mean we're free to leave? The warrior glanced at the gate. You could go, but you could also stay. The council can't deny. You're right anymore. You've fought beside us. You've bled with us. You've earned your place. Leary looked up. Then we stay. Together. Rylan nodded. Yeah, together. Weeks passed. The moon healed. New patrols guarded its skies. The council remained silent, but they no longer interfered. Rylan was given quarters beside Leary's. Warriors trained with him. Children greeted him without fear. And every night, he and Leary walked the glowing gardens in silence, their bond growing stronger. One evening, under the light of twin moons, she finally turned to him. There is one more tradition we haven't spoken of, she said softly. He raised an eyebrow. Another ancient law? No, she said. A choice. Not one of duty, but of heart. She stepped closer, placing her hand in his. Her tail brushed gently against his leg. If you stay forever, you are no longer a guest. You are family. You are mine, Rylan smiled. Then I've been yours since the moment you saved me. They stood in the silver light, side by side, not as soldier and servant, not as protector and protected, but as equals. As one, and in the stars above. The next chapter of their story waited to begin.